here. Some of the cards in Innistrad I don't have answers to, just because I'm playing for when it rotates out. I'm trying to find some good interactions between RTR and M14, and this so far out of all my ideas has been the most fruitful. I've definitely won more games, and I've won a lot of games with the Innistrad decks included. Um, you might be thinking, why isn't he running Voice of Resurgence? Uh, it's pretty simple actually. I uh, I had 4 foil Voice of Resurgence, and I sold them when they skyrocketed, and I have not bought the cards back since. Um, it's just I haven't been like I enjoyed the Junk Reanimator deck a lot, but I decided to sell a bunch of those cards and buy some new cards just because the fact that it seemed like the right call. This guy is definitely one of those that I'm gonna bring Centaur Healer in. Thalia is gone, thankfully, because it is really bad against my deck. I probably misplayed that. I probably should have played the Temple Garden untapped. Um, but I mean, I can still salvage it. Yeah, this guy's super aggressive, and this deck is dead once rotation hits, so I'm not too worried about it. That's the thing when you're testing for rotation. If one of the block decks, or one of the decks that was old standard, is really destroying you, it's okay. That you lose to that deck because that deck's going to no longer be in the format. Um, so that's very important to remember. The deck's no longer in the format, you don't have to worry about it. Okay, let's see how he attacks here. Okay, I definitely want to, I'm going to take care of that champion. That champion's troublesome. More troublesome than these two. The disadvantage of this deck is Thalia's super good against me. I'm very low creature count because, the populate spells are my creatures. And so Thalia is really, really strong against me, which is unfortunate. But I'm still okay with that. Here, I just had to be careful. Um, if he's not threatening lethal, I'm probably not going to block, just so I can populate with druids next turn, or maybe even get an Advent of the Worm out in response to his next attack phase. I mean, it's not looking good for me, but it's not looking like horrible either. That card is awful, though. Good news is it's exalted, which means that he's only gonna attack with 1. Bad news is it's a flyer, and I don't have anything to deal with exalted flyers. And it has double strike. Yeah, it's not worth attacking. Um, Basically, I know he's probably gonna pump. It's almost worth waiting for him to pump, but I also can't afford for him to pump. Like to wait for it as much as I'd like to. But I will go ahead and throw it down to the declare blockers phase and not block, obviously. Okay, I gotta get something huge here, or else it's gonna be very bad juju for me. Um, Another Druid's Deliverance would be really nice. Interesting playing something during declare blockers with the Druids with a fog out. Very interesting. he decided that was a bad idea, and we'll move forward. Knight of Glory. Okay, another exalted creature. I did not get what I needed. Um, Basically, there's nothing I can do at this point. So, yeah. Best thing I can do is just fake it and make him try to play smart. Good news is I didn't show him a whole lot of my deck. And, like, main deck Thalia is really awkward. Like, you normally don't see that. Um, Very awkward card, main deck. So Sublime Archangel, though, to be honest. Uh, okay, what to run against him? So Centaur Healers are definitely coming in. Smites are definitely coming in. I didn't see any artifacts. Collective Blessing, I'm probably going to go down to 1, just because it doesn't seem super good. Scion's coming out. Celestial Flare's definitely staying in. Let's think. What else? Growing Ranks. I can see a couple being good, but I can't see a ton being good. And, really thinking minusing one of the Advent and one of the Armada, just to give me a more aggressive curve out. I do want to play first. It's actually a pretty good hand for me. Um, and it should do well against his deck. Um, if he goes crazy like turn 3, I can Celestia Charm. You know, now that I know that he has Sublime Archangel, I'm probably going to wait on Celestian Charm until after that's in play and exile it. That seems like the only way I'm going to be able to deal with it. Either that or Celestial Flare if I draw one of those. That War Falcon's a really neat creature. I almost wish they'd have reprinted it, just because it's a very neat card. Here I think the right play is going to be to go ahead and get a Centaur Healer out. And then if he doesn't play Thalia, I'm probably going to go ahead and get a Growing Ranks out while I can. And then can go from there. So the nice thing about playing this particular deck is your creatures are normally just bigger than everybody else's. Uh, and they spread more rapidly. Like, you just have some really insane plays. Okay, so he's probably going to go ahead and attack just in the air here to get the trigger for Exalted, which is fine. Okay, this might change game plans. I still like the idea of the Growing Ranks, though. What I'm actually thinking is I think I'm going to go ahead and I'm not going to attack in, and I think I'm going to go ahead and just play the Growing Ranks. Growing Ranks, just anything that I populate just gets so much more ridiculous with that card out because you're doubling it on your turn. And, you know, it might make him think, oh, this guy's going to play like Advent of the Worm at the end of my turn. It might make him go into a bad decision, which would be really good for me. Because that's not the plan at all, because I don't have an Advent. Now, if I draw an Advent, that's so the plan. But as it sits right now, it's not the plan. That's the nice thing about Celestial Flare versus Exalted, is Celestial Flare is really good versus Exalted. I'm pretty comfortable now with go ahead and passing the turn. Holding 2 flares, like I didn't want to play a flare until I had a second flare, just because of the Sublime Archangel. Even though I have a Selesnya Charm, because I would ultimately much prefer to use Celestia Charm. Like, I'm going to have to use my removal in this matchup. Um, unless I can just start getting, you know, ridiculously big stuff going. Here I have an interesting choice because I can either Celestial Flare or Charm. I think I'm going to go ahead and stick with Flare, even though Celestial Charm might have been the better play. I like the Flare play here because it still gives me the option to make a creature token, which seems viable to me at this point in the game. And then here I'm pretty comfortable with attacking in. Okay, Silverblade Paladin. Most likely is going to draw out a Flare here, or a Charm. Oh, he's attacking with 2. Okay. So here I think my best play is definitely Flare. And then I'm going to leave the healer back now. Um, yeah, that seems really strong. Healer and call, because that call can keep sprouting. Um, and I can block here, be comfortable in my block here, because I have root bound defenses. And I'll make another centaur healer, and then I can just start the chain going. That's the important way to play this deck, is you gotta get the chain going. And the sooner you can do that, the better. So I have two options. I can either double block champion, or I can block 1 and 1. I like the idea of blocking 1 and 1 here. Let him decide if he's gonna pump. And then I'm gonna root bound. Okay. You got your faith shield. Still gonna root bound. Even though it's not nearly as good of a play as it was before that card hit. Uh, Indestructible does still work the same way. That's awesome. Oh, I think it's commander when that changes. That might be the part of the commander rule change. I'm pretty comfortable with sending one centaur in. Because I can block a centaur on the paladin, and a centaur and a healer on the champion. Why, actually, I can't do that. I can block 1 and 1. Well, no, I can do that. I'm going to do it that way. That way, if he pumps, I'm just going to remove his champion. Because the way it sits right now, he loses both of his, and I can still populate. That's the reason of getting growing ranks out early, is just so later in the game you don't have to worry about. It's an automatic effect. It's every turn you're populating. So he's going to face shield here, which is okay. I'm going to lose one of my two creatures, probably the healer. I think he's scared of Celestia Charm. I think it's pretty safe to say that at this point. But I mean, I'm perfectly fine with this board state right here, the way it is. just because that Populate's going to carry me. I'm not going to attack for the simple fact I don't want to let him know that I have a Populate spell in hand, and attacking is exactly what would do that. Um, so here, if he attacks, I'm probably going to block and Rootbound Crag. Again, I'm very comfortable with blocking with one because I have a couple of outs here in hand. Okay. I think this is worth Craiging over. Because Indestructible is really strong. And now I'm getting my little armada going. I think I'm going to hold the call just in case he board wipes. I'm going to go. I really don't want to send just two in. I'm going to wait until I can actually just overrun him completely. I mean, I guess I could have sent two in, and then if he done anything, Selesnya Charm. But it seems better just to sit back and wait and make him be the aggressor here. Um, because I have all the time in the world. And I'm beating him on clock too. Okay. So now I can just remove champion whenever I need to, which is good. And if I can get a collective blessing here, it's just a complete blowout. Okay, I got a couple of options here. I can go ahead and go for the swing, see if I can get him to block, uh, kill his champion, or I can sit back, keep doing what I'm doing, or I can cast Armada Worm. I think I'm going to sit back here and just keep doing what I'm doing. Like, this strategy seems to be working very well. It's a, it puts a lot of pressure on him because eventually I'm just going to get enough creatures where I can just turn them all sideways and he dies. And that's the goal here, is for him to die. And so growing rank seems like my strongest play at the moment because it makes him cast stuff every turn and I keep a full hand of cards. Okay, that's going to change things. Um, my strategy is no longer viable uh, the way it sits. So what I'm going to have to do here is if he attacks with champion, I'm going to have to Selesnya Charm it. Um, just so I don't have to deal with all that damage. Now, I have a couple options here. I can Selesnya Charm right away, or I can wait to do it. I think the best option here is to go ahead and just get it done. Get it removed, get it out of my way. Now I'm also very comfortable with attacking. And so it's kind of a 2-for-1. Uh, and man, is that strong. I'm going to go ahead and send in 4. Because I'm pretty comfortable with that number sending in. Yeah, he just quits. And he didn't even see that I had another growing ranks in hand. Um, I I think I'm gonna go up one more collective blessing. Um, trying to think, what can I take out? Guess we'll go down one more call. And the growing ranks did seem really strong against him. I'm gonna bring in one more of those, and we're gonna take out one Celestial Flare because he seemed to be playing around it quite a bit. So that seems pretty strong. So even though I don't have to worry about playing this deck, it's still really good for me to test against it and to play against it because it gives me an idea of things that could come. Even though the cards won't be exactly the same, the style of deck, it's always good to test. Always, always, always. Like, the more playtesting you do, the better the player you will be. Um, and and there's no substitute for it. Like, you can watch all the videos in the world, you can watch pros play all day, every day, and it's not the same as you actually play testing. Because no matter how much I describe, or anyone describes, that does any kind of streaming in videos, you're always going to learn more from actually playing the cards and watching the interactions for yourself. And it's just the sad, unfortunate truth. Here, I'm going to go ahead and throw up the Celestial Flare mana and go ahead and swing in, because I'm pretty happy with running my 3-3 into his 2-2, especially with the options I have before me. Being able to next turn throw out a Growing Rank really puts a lot of pressure on him, and I'm pretty happy with that. Even though I'm not going to be doing that anymore. I'm going to be holding back for either Smite or Flare. So if he attacks with the Silver Blade, I'm going to block it and smite it. If he attacks with that guy, get Celestial Flare, which is awesome, because man, did I not want to see that card. Takes care of the double strike. It also takes care of that whole issue. So that's over and done with. Here I'm pretty comfortable with go ahead and playing my ranks, to go ahead and get it out there and put a lot of pressure on him, because he saw what it did last game, and it makes him play a whole lot smarter. That's also why I'm not attacking with the Centaur. If he blocks here, or if he attacks here, and it's not like very close to lethal, I'm letting it through, just so I can get my Populate on. It's pretty important mechanic in this deck, is to make sure that you're taking full advantage of Populate. Okay, if I had one white untapped, I would block and smite it. I do not, so I'm going to just let it through. It's not going to kill me, I'll be okay. Okay, this brings me to a really cool game state in my favor. I have a couple of really good options here. I can Advent of the Worm and Smite, which is really powerful. And then just start populating worm tokens, which get ridiculously big very quickly, and puts all the pressure on that little Warhawk that I should be able to eventually deal with. Here no, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to save my mana. I'm very tempted to play Centaur Healer. I really want to wait till I have one more mana so I can Rootbound and play Centaur Healer. Because here, if I had to block, I had to block. Like, that's bottom line. He will probably eventually force me into it. Okay. So I'm taking 6 here, so he's threatening lethal next turn. So I have to be able to really put on the pressure now. Unfortunately, I did not have a removal spell that could deal with either of those creatures. I'm going to go ahead and Rootbound here. Make another worm. Make another worm. And I think I have to go big right now. He's at 15. He can block a little bit of it, but he can't block a lot of it. And I have another Rootbound, so this can turn into a complete blowout depending on how he blocks. If he doesn't block with a Warhawk, I have to sit back and wait. But I think he has to block with the Warhawk because of the amount of damage I'm threatening right now.